Good morning, good evening, to all the participants based on your time zone. And first of all, my thanks to John for providing this opportunity to present on the Salesforce organization strategy. And thank you all for joining. And thanks to Vitri for sponsoring the Amazon Ultras. And thanks to all the community leaders. And last, thanks to my friend and fellow speaker, Rajesh. Two note here, a congratulatory note to Rajesh. First is, he has joined as Director CX at First Source. Best career wishes to Rajesh. That is one. Two, he has been made co-leader of the Salesforce Architect Community Group Chennai by Kannan, and see, for the past few years he has been an active contributor to the Salesforce community, and with being becoming the co-leader, I expect a lot of more insightful and excellent sessions from Rajesh. It is all up to us to leverage his expertise. So, with that said, let's delve into the session. Rajesh, you are going to share this thing.
Yes, Gopi, I'll share the screen.
Thank you.
Um, I got it. I have access now. Let me just start sharing this. Just a moment. Okay, also.
Your screen is visible, Rajesh.
Yeah, thank you, Rajesh. Yeah, so we'll basically, like, I will touch upon the Salesforce organization strategy today, followed by Rajesh will take all of us through the flow and the Salesforce new enhancements and other things. With regard to the Salesforce organization strategy, let's see, certain pros and cons of having a single org versus multi-org, and why and when it is required to go for a single org versus multi-org. We'll also take a look at top reasons for going for a single org, top reasons for going for a multi-org, what are the benefits, what are the associated risks, and especially the business consideration as well as the technical considerations, and certain general org considerations. And if time permits, we'll go through one or two case studies. That is the context and the intent of today's session. And to start with, there is no hard and fast rule that you should go for a single org or you should go for a multi org. It all depends on how your business is structured, how your business units are structured, how your enterprise architecture has been set up and designed. It various factors contributes to you to drive you to go for a single org or multi org. Okay, but if you are we are talking about small organizations, obviously single org is the way to go. So we don't face any challenges predominantly there. The challenges comes into play when we go for bigger organizations where you have multiple business units, right? So that is when you face the challenges. And let's take a look at the top reasons why any customer choose a single org, right? There are 10-20 reasons available. Whatever you are seeing in the screen, these are the top 5 reasons, I would say, right? Why you go for a single arc? Whenever your leadership is looking for sort of 360-degree view of reporting, right? They want to see what's happening across the business units, right? So that is where you go for a single arc. And similarly, like multiple business units you have, and the business processes are almost similar, right? Almost same. Then that is also one of the reasons that you can opt for a single org strategy. Similarly, like collaboration becomes sort of very much easier in case of single org, right? If you're using a Slack, it is easy for especially for cross sell, right? Your organization is into manufacturing as well as into services industry, right? For example, providers manufacturing a turbine, and you have to install the turbine, right? In this case, the cross selling is important, and that is where the sales guy from uh, the sales team can collaborate with the service guy. So that is where it is critical to go for a single org in terms of collaboration. And similarly, like definitely it is very difficult to standardize processes across business units, right? It is very common, right? It is very difficult to manage the balance basically. So definitely, like every unit will try to dominate that their processes are important. So that is when the enterprise architecture team or the leadership comes into the foreplay, and the business leadership, right? So they have to make sure that their multiple business units are consistent across the units. So that is where you can go for a single org. And similarly, when it comes to the support, right? It's multiple support teams, multiple channels to approach, etc. Where you can really with a single org, it will be easy to for a support team to collaborate, and you can optimize the team, right? There is no need to go for a bigger team. So these are certain top reasons that we can choose a single org, in terms of the Salesforce implementation perspective. And let's see certain benefits associated with the single org, and certain risks also. Benefits, as I told you, it helps pretty much in the collaboration, right? Similarly, like as I mentioned earlier, the common business processes, right? It's very difficult to address, right? It is, as I mentioned. So, but definitely, when it comes to the reusability, it is one of the prime factors where you can leverage single R, right? And similarly, where you don't want data to be in different places, and you want the data, to be available for your consumption as well as for the leadership reporting, right? So that becomes easier. And similarly, like when it comes to the integration touch points, right? So it becomes very easier when it is a single R. And similarly, right, like the reporting, right, becomes a cakewalk basically. And let's see certain risks associated with the single R. Rajesh, you can next slide. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So again, what are the risks, the major risks that we can anticipate? especially like the org limits, right? Because we are trying to accommodate multiple business units into a single org, right? That becomes a challenge, right? You have to be very cognizant of the fact that you should constantly monitor the performance of the application, performance of the platform, performance of the applications, right? Like in terms of whatever you might be having different applications, you might have to customize a little bit more because you have to cater to the needs of multiple business units, so that becomes a challenge, right? So and same in case of how to govern, right? Like in terms of the security and sharing, etc., becomes a challenge basically. And similarly, you have to make sure that the application, whatever the performance of the application is intact, and we don't breach the government limits, etc. And time to market and innovation is definitely a challenge because uh, different units will expect their functionality to be in the forefront immediately, to be implemented immediately. They have certain thought processes around innovation, and different teams, the other business units will have different thought processes. Getting them together, and be on the same page, it would be definitely a challenge. I would say it is not a risk; it would be a challenge basically. So that's predominantly whatever we have seen, the benefits and risks, and the top reasons of going for a single R. Now let's delve upon the top reasons why we have to go for multi-R, right? um, you know we all know that any leading organizations, right, these days, they keep on acquiring. The best example is Salesforce, right? Best in product, best in whatever the application, best in company. They acquire, and then they keep on adding to their stack. That is where Salesforce is the number one CRM for the last 10 plus consecutive years, as per the International Data Corporation statistics in terms of the market share, right? So same thing applies to any company, right? Any company, any organization, any business that we are servicing, right? We are implementing, right? They keep on acquiring companies. They merge companies, right? So that in that case, it will be a challenge to survey with the single R. At least they have some breather space to digest the processes of the parent entity, right? So that is one of the reasons where you should live with multi org or a separate org for some time, until the entire company or the organization comes on the same page, right? Independent business units, because it is because of various factors, right? Like the processes are entirely different in certain industries. So in those areas, it is very difficult to standardize the processes. So in those cases, we have to live with multi-org scenario. Similarly, like in terms of functional, right? The functional processes are entirely different, right? The HR process is not equivalent to sales processes. It's just an example. There are multiple such examples, right? So that is one of the top reasons where the customers go for multi-org, right? And certain cases it will be legal. You all know, right? Like individual countries have their own laws in terms of taxations, compliance. Mostly you talk about GDPR, all those things, right? Like if your data has to reside within your country, then there is no way you can go for a single R, right? So obviously, legal restrictions put in place where you have to be a standalone, then you should go for the multi-R. And as I mentioned earlier, org limits, right, which is the governor limits are very critical, right? But again, org limits will not be the core factor, because it is all how we manage, the implementation, how we manage the application in terms of, the development, etc. So that is not a prime factor. Top five, I can say the fifth one, right? And the geographical or the linguistic is another area, right? Where you have data multilingual, right? It is difficult to manage. So that is where you go for the multi-R, right? Let's delve upon the benefits and risks associated with multi-Rs, right? Again, multi-R again, benefits. It is a small entity, yours is going to be a small entity. You don't have to worry about the governor limits or reaching other provided limits by the Salesforce, right? Easy to govern and manage, right? Settings, yeah, obviously, because it is small, the business, and then it's a separate standalone business. You don't have to depend on what the other unit has to follow, etc. And it is easy. It's a simple, when it comes to the sharing rules, when it comes to the security model, right? And similarly, like the lower data volumes, right? Like you are not going to manage huge data, right? Like for example, you consolidate 5 business units, and then managing 5 units into single org versus your own org managing the data. Obviously it has its the value add there, right? Similarly, prime factor is the improved time to market, right? And you have the liberty to innovate, right? Whatever you want to sort of focus on some innovation, you want to explore something, you want to implement something, you can give a try, because you are free to do that, because it depends on free to do in the sense, from your leadership, your business leadership perspective, and your enterprise architect leadership perspective. You don't need to depend on other dependencies of other business units. That is where it is there, and reduce complexity, right? And you have ample amount of freedom to explore. These are certain benefits. There are certain risks as well. We'll see the risks as well. Again, it is, when it comes to the definition and the processes, data, etc. So it is difficult to get the alignment with other business units. So you are there, and less reuse of configuration, right? That means in a single org strategy, you manage 5 to 6 business units or 2 to 3 business units, and then you can leverage the configuration, leverage the customization across the units, right? Like in one org, you are catering to multiple business units, so that becomes a sort of bottleneck here, and less place for the shared business solutions, right? And the collaboration, right? Collaboration becomes a sort of bottleneck here, because for example, you are a separate instance, and then you want to collaborate with your sister concern or your partner entity. It will becomes barrier. And similarly, right, in terms of customer base, right? You'll be managing your customer base, and your entity 2 will be managing, your R2 will be managing the same amount of customer. It becomes a sort of duplication, right? So which is not a risk, but which is not a good practice, or practice to be followed, right? Similarly, you have whatever the administration or the administrative functions that we do, it all becomes sort of duplicated effort, which we should consider that. And similarly, like when it comes to the single sign-on requirements, etc., it becomes a bit complex. These are certain, I would say, challenges. When you go for a single instance, separate instance, or multi-org, right? And predominantly, when you have to decide on whether to go for a single org or multi-org, there are primarily like two considerations, right? Major considerations. One is business considerations, other is the technical considerations. When it comes to the business considerations, these are the top four sort of considerations you should look into: the change management and the governance of the organization strategy, right? And what is the corporate strategy, and how well you collaborate, and how your reporting and analytics works, right? And I don't want to get into the individual, what are the questions mentioned, right? So you have to what your organization is doing, right? What your business is doing. You have to take a note of all these answers to these questions. You have to weigh in and see, whether it is fair to go for a multi-org, or whether to stick on or to go with single org. And certain technical considerations. When it comes to the technical considerations, these are the five major parameters, I would say, that we have to take into consideration. The platform, the data metadata, the integrations. Integrations plays a vital role, right? If you are separate orgs, etc., integrating them will be a bigger challenge. Security, sharing, same thing. The scalability plays a major role, right? If you want to, the application to be scalable, the org to be scalable, that is a prime factor. So you have to have an answer for all these the top considerations in terms of the technical aspects before you decide on whether to go for single org versus multi org. A simple, the decision tree. All of you must have seen this. You can see that, right? The first choice itself, you want, access of all the data, right? All your customer data in one place, right? In one place. You don't want to see, the businesses works upon silos. Then obviously you can go for, multi-org for various reasons and factors. But you want to see all the customer data in one place. Yes, in the sense, you have to see that whether your customers needs the ability to customize your application, right? Like you want to have the own layouts. You have to have the own flows, etc., right? Yes, then obviously you cannot live with the single instance, right? So obviously you can choose or go for multi-R. And if no, and the next question comes, whether your customers allow you to have access to all of their data, right? At certain companies, they have, because of the legal restrictions, etc., they say that I cannot share my data with, even though it is a single company with multiple business units, right? I should not see the data of the other entity if it is a no due to legal complaints, etc. Obviously, you have no choice but to go for the multi-R. If yes, then it is always better to go for a single R. These are certain, the organization strategy considerations, general considerations, right? This, whatever, for example, let's go through that, right? Like, first is the visibility of the application data, etc., right? If you, in terms of visibility, multi-R is the better option. But again, it is taking generic considerations, I would say, right? In terms of generic considerations, it is, in terms of visibility, it is always go for multi-R. Same way, like, you want to manage the settings, you want to, how you have to make the impact of the particular application, then it is a multi-R, right? But in terms of app exchange, the change management, right? You want to, have common standardized processes, etc., across departments, right? You have to manage the data and especially the integration point of view, right? And the reporting and dashboards for the individuals, for the sales team, service team, or for the leadership team. It is better to go for you can consider single R. And deployment perspective, as we talked earlier, right? Your faster time to market, quicker time to market, and you want to innovate, etc. It is better to go for multi-R. When it comes to the security and the 360-degree view, right? Security in terms of a single sign-on, your identity access, etc. And you should have a the entire 360-degree view of your entire business, right? It is not your independent entity, all the entities. Then it is always in these two scenarios in terms of security as well as the 360-degree customer view. It is always better to go for a single R. Mm, do we have time? We'll quickly go through the case studies. There are 3 case studies. Yeah. This is based on my whatever this is actual case studies. That is where I haven't sort of defined the customer name, right? It is the first one is for a global pharma company where they had the global instance, right? Single R basically, right? To manage, their intent was to look for all the data in one place. That is where this particular case study, they benefited in terms of uh, the reporting, especially the leadership reporting, and for them it was a easy to maintain, right? Instead of multiple instances, single instances, and pretty well defined integration mechanism in alignment with the org standards, whatever architectural standards, right? So and obviously pricing will make a big difference when it comes to a single R for them, right? And certain impacts and considerations, right? Which is sort of you should be pretty much aware of your org's governance limits, right? The change management process, it is very difficult, right? Like you have to manage the changes from the multiple business units. You should make sure that you balance between the units and then no one is left out, right? Like it is not that this business unit is making large revenue and this is making less revenue. It is today it is the scenario, tomorrow it can change, the other business can grow. So when it comes to the processes, when you have to make sure that at least there should be a certain level of standardized processes, right? To make sure you balance between all your concerns and the business entities. So that is where they were successful. This particular case study, they were successful in terms of the implementation of the single R. You can move, Rajesh. You can go to the. This is also single R. You can go to the next one, Rajesh. Yeah. Yeah, so this is one instance, a typical instance. This is for one of the global energy major, right? They were into multiple areas of businesses, right? Power, water, oil, gas, energy, etc. Right? Decades ago, they were having three different orgs for catering to 3 different businesses, and later on the businesses got merged basically, and it all lived as a separate entity, separate companies, and then it got merged into one company, and then they have decided to go with a single instance, and they did that, and sort of the consolidation did not work basically, especially in terms of the user adoption, right? And as I mentioned earlier, right, the development prioritization. Yeah, power and our water will say like I want the changes now, and similarly energy will say, and you have to. It is this particular conglomerate is a bigger one, and in terms of revenue, etc. You know, it's a top 10 Fortune company. So uh, it was difficult for them to manage with single org, and recently they have decided to again move back to multiple orgs for different business units. Now it is basically like 5 business units. Now they have five different orgs basically. So this is one typical example where it is not that you have to keep on looking for how the business processes are defined, how your enterprise architectural landscape is structured. All these things play a vital role in deciding whether you should go for a single or multi-org. So this is a typical example where it was a multi-org, then it became a single org, then now it is a multi-org. So again, in terms of multi-org, you have we discussed a lot the benefits, quicker change management, right, quicker faster time to market, right, deployment strategy becomes easier. You don't need to depend on the other entity, what and when they are planning to do, when they are planning to implement, right. Similarly, reduced risk of governance limits, because you're not going to consume much of, you are going to not use much code, right, etc. Ease of, very easy to govern and support, and the business processes is limited to your businesses, right, to your business. So there is no need for standardization, so you can be on your own, but still I would say, like, no, you have governance in place. There should be constant audits, constant audits and review by the enterprise architect team as well as the Salesforce architecture team, right? To make sure, even though it is a separate instance, it is a multi-org. You should not take the liberty to exploit the platform, right? You should be very much diligent in leveraging the platform, right? Impacts and considerations, yeah, as mentioned earlier, right? You can't expect a global reporting. If for the leadership, they have to find a way to get the data from the multiple entities, and they should see how to collaborate the data and how to present it to the management and the leadership. And definitely, this is the example I mentioned earlier, where they are into selling turbines, and the cross sell becomes difficult. When they were single org, basically what happens was, the guy sells a turbine, and the opportunity is visible to the service team as well, the next entity, and they will do the sort of the implementation, and they will follow up upon the opportunity to do the servicing side of it, and it becomes easier. Now in this case, it is a sort of offline mechanism. You have to, the sales has to complete the sale, and then for the service he has to reach out to his counterpart through whatever the offline messaging, or the the organization, whatever the the chat mechanism, or he or she should send an email. Those things becomes a bottleneck, obviously, right? So these are certain considerations that we should have to take into consideration, and again not possible to collaborate, which I mentioned earlier. So it be, again we have weighed in the pros and cons of going for a single org strategy versus multiple Salesforce org strategy, but it is totally dependent upon the factors, various factors, the business, especially business processes, the business decisions, the enterprise architectural landscape, etc., and how the businesses collaborate well, the sub businesses collaborate well. So these factors will determine whether you should go for a single or multi-R. That's pretty much from my end. This is mostly based on my experience and expertise. The case studies are real case studies basically, and whatever we discussed, whatever I have seen in my, 25 years of experience in the CRM side. Uh, First 10 years in the Siebel CRM and followed by 15 years in the Salesforce ecosystem. So that's pretty much. And thanks for your time. And over to you, Rajesh. And uh, excited to listen to you, Rajesh.
Thanks, Gobinath sir. Thank you for the informative session. There is one question from Raghavendran. Can you take that question? Ra- Raghavendran, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hi, Gopinath, sir. I'm audible, right?
Yes, yes, you
Yes,
are
you
audible.
are Raghu.
Yeah,
Please
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
Sir, when we are discussing about single org and multi-org strategy, like purely based on the business unit, or it can be currency type as well. Because if you see, like, we have a global business running in Europe market, APAC market, and US market as well. Should we bifurcate basis on the currency or only on the business unit?
So see, if it is, even if it is currency, right? Currency should not be a major factor. I would say, right? It should be the processes or legal compliance. The local land of the law, etc., plays a role, right? Currency should not be a factor, right? Like whatever the example I told you in the global energy major. Uh, it's their businesses situated across the globe, right? So again, when they were single instance, they took care of the legal compliance part, etc. So they made sure that those particular data was not residing in the single org. Okay, the same way, like if it is sort of currency, or if it is technical considerations, I would say that should go in a lower scale, and predominantly the business processes and the legal compliance related stuff should should be the deciding factor, I would say, Raghavendran. And Rajesh, you can add basis your experience as well.
That's absolutely right, Gopi. See, multi-currency and stuff are technical things, right? That should not be the driving factor, is what we wanted to convey. It should be the business process that should be taken as the top priority. As Gopi rightly mentioned, if your process is something that has to be common across all your business units, across all the business, because typically a global company, right, they will run multiple businesses across various locations, correct? So unless the business process is common, right, then there is no point in having a single org. If the business process itself is completely, different, so as the compliance when it comes to storing the data, when it comes to managing the data, everything, then as Gopi rightly pointed out, right, it'd be a good solution to good, so, it would be a good option to look for a multi-instance or multi-org strategy.
Okay, thanks,
Hope I am
Rajesh
clear,
and Gopi.
Raghavendran.
Yeah, I have one more follow-up question.
Yeah.
Like for the top level leaders like CEO, CTO, I assume one company only have one CEO and one CTO. Like for all these top level leaders, along with the board members, do all of them need have a, for example, it's in the multi-arc, do all of them have to have the login with all the multi-arcs in order to predict the company's growth and
Mhm.
predict
Yeah.
the year-on-year growth?
Hmm.
Do all of them need to
No,
have
we
a
don't. We
multi-arc
don't do.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't recommend that, right? Um, See, the way how the reporting should look like. See, Salesforce is not a reporting platform at the end of the day, correct? Yeah. So if you have multiple orgs, then the ideal way would be to bring all the data into a data lake or, so data lake or somewhere consolidated. And that way, you can able to visualize the data using, Power BI or Einstein Analytics. There are multiple tools available, isn't it? So that's how, the reporting has to happen. Okay, so
Yeah. As Rajesh rightly pointed out, Raghavendran, there is no need for the CEO or the CFO or the CXO team to log into different applications. It will be, in my opinion, it will be an additional overhead for the IT team to build or leverage another reporting application where they have to get in all the data from the different orgs, along with the ERP data, along with the other system data, finance, HR data, and then they have to consolidate at a single place and then show it to the CXO team. Not necessarily for the CXO team to log into individual applications in that case.
Okay, sure, Gopinath. Can you explain what is the crassel meaning? You have explained in one of the slide.
What is it? What is it, Raghavendra?
What is the crassel? You have explained like in multi-R crassel is difficult. What is the
Right.
meaning of crassel?
Yeah, cross-sell is the example that I gave, Raghavendran. So you are selling something, right? So as he mentioned, your company is, you have two units. You have one unit which only sells products. You have other unit that only do servicing and implementation of that particular product, right? So
Mm.
for example, I'm going to sell a turbine. It is not necessarily my duty to implement or install that in your facility. Okay. For example, a company sells a turbine and then it can be implemented or installed by uh, any company that is expert at it. Okay. So
Mm.
I sell it to company A can take my service, or it can go for other company services to install the turbine. Okay. But I have my company, my partner unit, which is expert in implementation, right? So it is cross sell. Meaning, what is it is, I'm selling turbine, right? I'm also going to make money by installing the turbine, right? So I'm cross selling that, right? So that is where the cross sell comes into picture. If one hour it is easy to collaborate with my other entity, in case of separate dogs, I told you, right, the cross sell becomes difficult because you have to find an option to communicate your whatever the opportunity details to the your servicing partner entity. Hope I'm clear.
Yeah,
Thanks,
about
Raghavan.
Slack for internal. Yeah. Every time we are talking about Slack for internal communication. So generally, I have seen multiple POs or some of them are from the clients are using Teams only. Is it different? The Slack is different than
Slack,
Teams.
yeah. Slack is a different product. Slack is an acquired product of Salesforce. So, when it comes to the communication, internal organizations communication mechanism, so it totally depends on the strategy being adopted by the leadership team, right? At the top leadership, in collaboration with the enterprise architect team, right? They cannot go for multiple communication mechanisms, right? So again, the communication becomes difficult. So you are right in the sense, companies with multiple entities, they won't go for different, one unit will you use Teams, one unit will use Slack. That will not happen. So it is a R-wide strategy they will adopt in terms of when it comes to the communications. It will be either Teams or Slack, or there are multiple other communication mechanisms as well, Raghavendran.
Okay, thanks, Gopinath. That's all from my end.
Thanks, Raghavendran.
Govinda sir, there is another one question. How do we decide between flow apex or orchestrator for complex automation?
Yeah. So when which this particular this is a question typically on the technology side, right? Rajesh can add to that. In my opinion, technology should not basically the code, the configuration or customization should not play a major role in deciding the org strategy. It should be more of a business and functional, requirements or the strategy. Rajesh, want to add anything?
That's right, Kofi. Probably will touch base on this, right? This Apex flow thing towards the end. Yeah. So, anyways, we are going to get started with the flow automation, the new things that we will typically see in the flow, right? As a next step. So, we will touch base on this towards the end. Yeah. All right. Any other questions for Gopi? Otherwise, we can just move to the part two of our session today.
There is no other questions, Gobinar sir. Thank you for the informative session, Gobinar sir. Rajesh sir, you can continue the next session. Thank you.
Perfect. Shiva, I just dropped a reply over the chat. Shiva had a question about the price of single org versus multi org. So that's typically, there is no hard and fast rule, or there is no constant, price that you will pay for an org. It depends on a lot of factors: your relationship with Salesforce, how many licenses that you wanted to purchase, and which edition that you wanted to purchase, and whether you are going to purchase only the sales cloud or the service cloud or together, plus marketing cloud. So multiple factors at play. This is this is more like, when you walk into a showroom and then you wanted to purchase something. Let's you want to purchase the television. Okay, they will give a price, isn't it? They will quote a price for the television. But if you say that, okay, I want a television, I want a refrigerator, I'm also looking to buy a washing machine. So together you will get it at a discounted price, correct? That's typically, how it works in Salesforce as well. So, uh, so that's the reason, whenever there is a pricing, when we discuss about the price point, uh, we will always include the Salesforce account executives. Okay, that's how typically, the pricing works. Okay, yeah. Anyways, Gary had few questions. Probably will complete this session two. I won't take much time. By 11:30 or so, we will complete session two, and then we can open up for more questions. Yeah, hope that is fine. All right. So with that, what I'll do is, so, okay. Anyone please confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, Rajesh sir,
Okay.
your screen is visible. You can continue the session. Thank you.
All right. So So before I start, thank you so much again, for everyone. First of all, thank you so much, Gopi. It's always a pleasure, to learn from Gopi's experience. He's carrying more than 2 decades of experience in the overall CRM industry, in the IT industry. Plus, his core expertise is in CRM. He has seen a lot of, implementations in his tenure. So that's why, we always, take the pleasure in learning from Gopi's experience. Yeah, I hope you did also find it helpful. So use the cheat book, like, the considerations, the decision tree, everything. Anyways, the PDF, everything will be shared, so that when you get into a conversation with your leadership team for deciding, taking decision between the single org versus multi-org strategy, this comes really, really handy. Okay, so we will have some deep dive sessions later. Okay, but the whole idea is we wanted to give, we wanted to impart this knowledge, in everyone's mind. Okay, yeah. So that's the whole idea. So that's why we kept it at a high level. So later we'll just double click and then go into each and every part of it and have more sessions in the later community, meet. Okay, so that's so that's one thing. And again, I sincerely thank each and everyone that have taken the time to join us, join with us today, because there is a saying, tomorrow's opportunities, belong to today's learners. So you wanted to learn something, and that's why you are here. that itself, will present a lot of new opportunities to you tomorrow. Probably a new job, or elevating elevating your role from whatever you do currently, to the next role. So all such things will certainly happen when you start learning, right? So that's why people say that tomorrow's opportunities belong to today's learners. So everyone here on the call is a learner. So with that, we'll just continue with the next session. Okay, I'll take 35 minutes to complete this. Yeah. So we're going to talk about the flow. Of course, it's a click and code, yeah, or a, or a low code functionality which we have been using in Salesforce. There is no doubt about it. And if you look at the journey, of course, we started with workflow, and then we had process builder, and then Salesforce decided to focus completely on one single automation piece, where entire focus can be. And Salesforce started bringing in a lot of new features. If you look at the product cycle, the release cycle, every time when there is a new release comes from Salesforce, right, you will see at least 10 new features introduced in Flow, because that itself tells how much effort or how much importance that Salesforce, right, is giving to this particular feature in the platform, isn't it? Yeah. So uh, there are a lot of things added, and what I'll do is I'll just start with something very simple. Okay, something very simple. Then we'll pick up a couple of use cases and then see how we can be created or built, etc. Okay. The very first thing is, right, Salesforce is elevated the UX. Okay, what does that mean? I'll log in. Yeah. So typically, what do? We do the setup, isn't it? Then we will look for flow, and from here we'll start creating a flow, or we will use you know, uh, Flow Explorer to check existing flows that are running in our application. Correct? That's what we do typically. Instead, what Salesforce has done is, let me go back to the org setup. While you are in the setup, okay, you don't have to go anywhere. Okay. Um, Again, click on setup. Okay. So while you are in the setup home, you can start creating the flow right here. Okay, right here. So this is a new option that Salesforce introduced. Very, very simple, but Salesforce is bringing it to you, probably as a quick action right here. The reason is there is a greater adoption in terms of using flow, isn't it? Because these days, whenever we sit together for a requirement discussion and solutioning, right, the very first thing we always think in terms of implementing it in a flow for various good reasons, because I don't have to, if I choose a customization option with LWC, with Apex, etc., then certainly I have to write text classes, right? I have to ensure the code coverage is met. But think about it. If I use flow, I don't really have to do that, isn't it? Yeah. I don't really have to do it. So it's going to really cut down the entire effort in terms of developing a new functionality, correct, for our customer. So that's the reason Flow always plays the top role or the first option to go with whenever we build this, whenever we design the solution. Okay, yeah. Of course, if it is too complex to build in the Flow with a lot of ifs and else conditions, branching, or if it's going to touch across multiple business processes, then we will go with Apex. Okay, yeah. Let's say I want to write a logic which really requires me to use more than five objects. Okay, then I would rather go with Apex than Flow. Okay, yeah. If it is 2 or 3 objects which I can just play around with, then Flow would be a good option to go with. Otherwise, you know go with Apex. Okay, but Flow always takes the first option, okay, to explore, and otherwise we will go with an Apex thing. Okay, but anyways, so this is the new UX enhancement that you will just see. So when you click on this flow, you will be taken to the screen, and again, as you can just see, everything is categorized these days. Okay, categorized these days, and based on the ones that you frequently use, you will find them right here. Plus, there is a good search option if you are using Omni Cloud, Omni Salesforce Velocity, or if you're using Experience Cloud, you will find the respective flow is categorized under that particular bucket. You don't have to, you don't have to go through the entire list and then pick the standard template for you to work with. Yeah. So it's so easy for us to start working from here. Not only this, and it's the same screen that you will get when you go and then follow that the usual way of creating the flow. So you go to the flow and then click on new flow, right? It just opens up the same pop-up for you with all the flows categorized right here. And if you have an Agentforce license Einstein enabled in your org, then it's so easy for us to create the flow. Earlier it was in beta, but now it is possible for us to just use Agentforce or the Einstein, the AI, the AI part in Salesforce to build a flow. So I can just simply click on Get Started. I can just describe what I really wanted to do. Let's say I want to update, I wanted to capture multiple contact roles in one screen from the user and collect the data to insert back into simple English, okay, back into database. Okay, a simple prompt, ensure um, fall path is included as needed, and all the best practices followed. Okay, yeah. Let us see what's going to happen if I go with this way. Salesforce will try to, create that flow, the flow, completely for me. Okay, again, it's not completely or it's not 100%, foolproof, but at least we have something to start with. That's how we should look at it because it's brand new. Okay, it was in beta, well tested. Ah, excellent. I didn't expect this. In fact, I don't know what went wrong. I wish I could show you the output. Hmm. Let's try this one more time. Okay, you will start seeing all the required components added to your flow canvas, which you can later go and then modify it. Okay, so the point is with the AI with the AI license, what you can do is you can accelerate the flow, creating the flow, everything just by providing the prompts. I think something is wrong with my license. Maybe I've overconsumed or something. Let me try something very quickly. Last time, okay, last one more attempt. It works well and good. Go and then click on new flow. Explore this when you find time. Okay, you can just spin up a new org and then enable Einstein in it. Yeah. So let me try this. Maybe I'll ask very simple one. Okay. Help me with the flow. The record triggered flow that updates let's say account type if the revenue is greater than 0 and on here revenue is greater than 0 account type as customer. Okay, we'll see what's going to happen. I hope I will not hit any error this time. Let's cross check. Okay, while this is happening, this is exactly you can just see this, right? Very nice. So with your Agentforce license, you can just start, you can get this done. So it's trying to put together how many elements? Just one. Okay, I didn't explicitly mention fault tolerance, isn't it? Yeah. Edit instructions. I'll just say uh, include fault path as well whenever DB action is performed. Yeah. So, so this will again, create something new for me, or it makes changes. It's exactly in the element that touches the GB, either deleting a record or updating a record or creating a record. Okay, so that's how it's evolving. That's how it is evolving. I don't think it really had a fault path, isn't it? Yeah. But yes, the point is it is mature. It is getting matured. Okay, but you have something to start with. But think about it. This is the current state, brand new feature in Salesforce, and you will just start seeing more enhancements happening, around this space. So by next, in a year or two, when we when we when we discuss again on the flow enhancements, right? You'll find most of us on the call, right, using Einstein, using AI to create a flow for us, and then we will be making tweaks. Okay, so that's how it's going to get penetrated in the upcoming days. Okay, but this is just a start, something you can explore, and then get accustomed to it. Yeah. So that's about this. That's about different ways to create a flow. As I said earlier, we have different options available using AI assist. You can do or the standard way, or from the setup there is an option for to get started with flow quickly. Yeah. So that's about this. Next one. Yeah, I want to show this. Responsive screen flow, something that we were missing for a long time. Because one reason why people would love to go to, LWC is a Salesforce flow, the flow that you create in Salesforce, especially the screens that you build in the screen flow, it's not responsive at all. If you expose that flow to your customers, to the users that are using mobile app, right? Then you will see a lot of alignment and aesthetic issues. Yeah. So typically, the option would be to go with LWC, isn't it? Because we have a lot of options available in LWC with the SLDS2 framework, plus the native options to make a component responsive, right? LWC would be a good option to go with, right? But now you have an option to make the screen flow, as well responsive. Okay, how do we do that? So this is another new thing that you will find it. Just right here. Maybe I'll use a new flow. Leave. Yeah, let's get a screen flow now. Okay, something very, very simple. Something very, very simple. With few elements added. Okay, I'm going to create a new screen. Yeah. So let's say I'm going to take an input like, let's say I have a text box. Okay. And I have a field that captures currency. Then I have a field that captures a checkbox. Okay. Then I want a field with currency is fine, text is fine. Let's have a date. Okay. I'll just say this is about capturing a campaign name. Yeah. And this is about the campaign cost. Did I spell it wrong? Yes. Campaign cost. Yeah. I'll add one more text field. Let's say this is code. And will have the start date. I'll have one more date added. See, if I start creating a form, something like this, right, one below the other, it's okay. But as your form, form gets more and more elements added, you will start seeing the scrolls appearing typically when you enable this for your users in the mobile, isn't it? Yeah. And also, user might feel that he's entering a lot of data. Yeah, that's the typical. There's a typical mentality, isn't it? So when you see a scroll, immediately you feel that okay, there are a lot of things I need to either check or or feed data, isn't it? So to avoid that, we always try to change the way how we present our form, isn't it? So with LWC, our component is easy, but here, let's say status. But here, previously, right, we were unable to make this responsive. But now with this particular option, first thing is you can able to preview. But more than anything, what you can do is you can able to define how this particular form should look like across various screen sizes. Okay, medium or small, which is typically the phone, right? Yeah, or a tab, etc. So how it is done? All I have to do is just select that particular element, go to style. Okay, here you will just see Okay, how you wanted to the width that you wanted to restrict for a particular element. For example, I wanted to have campaign name, campaign code, and campaign cost. Okay, all three in one single row. How do I do it? So this is the grid system, right? So we have 12 cells. Okay, so you have to decide how you wanted to fit your elements, or fit your elements or input elements in a 12 site, 12 cells. Okay, yeah, or a grid with 12 cells. So I'll just say I want the campaign name to occupy the first four cells. Then I want the campaign code to occupy the same thing. I'll go right here, another four cells. Okay, now you can just see this, right? Yeah, it automatically aligned. Yeah, then I'll go right here. I'll just say I want this to be aligned. Again, take the next four. Okay, start date. What I'll say I'll do is, right, I want the start date and end date to appear in the same line. Then I'll just break this. Okay, first six to the start date, and the next six cells should be allocated to the next element. I'll keep this campaign status as is. Okay, now this is how the screen will look like in the desktop mode. Okay, now if I just change this to another screen, the screen size, let's say medium. This is how it will look like. This is cool. But let's see how it will look like when the same form is being viewed in the small screens, the phone, our handhelds and phones, right? Because typically when I want to open up this particular form to my end user, okay, who is using a mobile application, so this is mobile app one, then this is how it will look like. It's not at least I have a at least what I can just see is I have to either change this what do you call instead of having three in one row, I can tweak this. I can have two in one row, isn't it? Two elements in one row, so that the label and the text box and the text the input text element, right? The text box will be easy for the users to use and then punch in the data, correct? So I can test it. I can preview and then test it. Now I can go back to the large one. Then I can just, I can start making tweaks. Isn't it? I'll just say, no, I want this to be, this to take, let's say this will take 6 cells. So immediately the campaign cost came down. Okay, I can just play around with this and then see which one it's going to give a better UX, across various screen sizes, and I can certainly go with that. Okay, so this is a functionality that you can certainly do, and this will certainly help you, right, to take flow to the next level in terms of exposing it to a small devices and making it available for the users to use. Make sense? Yeah. Now, if I do this and then try to preview this in the small, okay, this is pretty okay, isn't it? To start, at least okay from what we had seen in the previous iteration, correct? Yeah. So explore this as well when you have a need for what did I do? Okay, screen. Let's say it's a thing. All right, I think that this should say this. Yeah. Okay. So this is something that helps you to rethink our decision between LWC versus the screen. Okay. If you think that it can be handled just with this new style option that you find it in the flow, then go ahead with that. Otherwise, you have other options, building an auto component or LWC in most cases. Yeah, makes sense. So something to explore. With that, we'll move forward. Yeah, this is another new thing that you will start seeing, especially when there is a need to pick up choices. Okay, yeah. So a visual way to visually you can just show icons for the users. Okay, again, this is totally going to increase the user experience, right? When you present something to the user, instead of asking users to choose from a pick list or a drop down, if you give users an option, where icons or images are there, then that will be appealing, and the experience of the user, right, will certainly enhance, isn't it? So how do we do it? How do we build something like this? We'll go back to the same form. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll make it large. So I'll bring it to the large one. How much it's occupying? Okay, change the style. Instead of half, I'll just say 4. This one I change to 4. So we come to the, yeah, perfect. Yeah. So now while you're building the form, what you can do is you can look for something called visual picker. Okay, it's a new type that you will find. Just drag and then drop it right here. Okay, drag and then drop. All right. Okay, did I do it right? Yeah, perfect. So I'll just say label as conference type. Okay, yeah. So it's a campaign. So the type of component, the type, or let's say campaign type. Let's have conference as one of the values. Okay, campaign type. Perfect. So now I can have static choices added. Okay, at least for now. At least for now, because we will start seeing more improvements in terms of giving collection as an input and then making it dynamically show the uh, uh, icons, etc. But for now, this is a constraint. Okay, this is a constraint. So I have to add static choices. Yeah. So I'll go here. I'll just say the choice that I wanted to add is it's not a list. It's a choice, and I'll just say this is a conference. Okay, or I can say this is the label that I want. Conference is the label, and right here, okay, I'll also give value as conference. Right below, you have this new section called Customer User Interface. And this is where I can choose the icon. Okay. So Salesforce will allow you to choose the SLDS icons that you typically find in the library. If you go right here, SLDS icons. So you can just see this, right? SLDS2, you will see a lot of icons right here, isn't it? Yeah. Utility icons, object level icons. Let's browse this. You'll find all these icons, correct? So everything is now accessible, when in flow as well. Yeah. So I'll go to the canvas again. So when you click on choose, you will find the list of icons categorized under different, header, doc type, standard, etc. Yeah. So I'll try this one. Conference. I don't know which one. I'll just go with this one. Conference. Save. Yeah. We'll have done. Okay, the first choice is done. I'll add one more choice. Okay, conference. I'll go with another one. Let's say this is a webinar. Okay, we'll have a label as webinar. The same thing, maybe I'll do as webinar again. We'll have choose icon. Let's choose maybe the standard icon. Let's try something new. Save. Okay, let's see how it's going to look like. Can you see this, right? Yeah. So now when I save this, I'll just say this is screen campaign form as the name. Let's save, let's run this in debug mode and then see how it's going to look like from a user perspective. Click on run. Of course, you can just see this, right? Yeah. So I could have done this with pick list, isn't it? I could have asked the user to choose, but now, this makes it little, more appealing for the user to choose, isn't it? Yeah. So a lot of improvements are going to come in terms of reducing the size, in terms of making it more dynamic. Okay, but right now it is static. Yeah. So and how do we read this value? It's plain and straightforward. All you have to do is, let's say I have another screen where I'm just summarizing all the selections made by the user. Okay. I'll just say output for now. Okay. And I just wanted to show text. Okay. Message. Let's say select the type is, I'll go to resource. So right in the screen component, we have visual picker. All we have to do is we have to choose between the label and the value. So I prefer to go with values. That's it. Let's click on that. So now let's save and then run it in debug mode. Okay, let's say I choose webinar, move forward. I should see the option. Yeah. So again, this is another UI gimmick that you can introduce. Okay, whenever you build, whenever you use flows to to build a form. Okay, for your customer. Yeah. So that's about the visual picker, and we'll move on. We'll move on to the next set of things. But before that, know the constraints because right now these are the constraints that you will see. Yeah. So it's not supported everywhere. Okay. So if you're using if your customer is using field service mobile, don't attempt this because it's not going to work in the in the field service mobile application, right? And the areas where you have service built, etc. Okay, so it's going to work. And right now, as I said, it's static. Okay, yeah. So you cannot use other data types for now, but more changes will come in, right? And the last thing is I don't have a rich text formatting. It has to be either webinar as a simple text. I cannot add some emojis to it, all such things, right? It's not possible. I can make that text bold, all such things not possible. It's only plain text for now. Again, these considerations or limitations will certainly go away when Salesforce is giving more or introducing more enhancements, to this visual picker element in the upcoming releases. Okay, yeah, all right. So with that, the next one is about solving a business scenario. Okay, so this is about unlocking dynamic user input in flow. But we'll learn this. We will implement the solution using one of the elements in flow. Okay, so this dynamic user input is the clue here. Okay, how do we build a screen where I take multiple inputs from the user? Okay, and I don't know when the user will stop giving me the inputs. A typical example would be this. Okay, so I wanted to build a screen something like this where I'm going to give an option to the user to choose a contact and then add a role, opportunity contact role. Yeah, and I'll give it's a free, it's going to be completely the user's discretion in terms of how many contact roles that the user would like to add it through the screen. Okay, I don't want to put a stop. Okay, even though there is a hard limit, but I'm not going to restrict the user. Okay, because the reason is today user has to go to that opportunity page and then add this one after the other, right? Instead, I wanted to change the experience, to the experience for the user to add everything in one place. Okay, so that's why you have this add button, remove button, etc. Okay, so how do we build this? That's what we're gonna do it right away. Yeah. So to solve this, what we have is, or what we should learn is how to use a repeater component in Salesforce. Okay. Yeah. So this is going to be extremely helpful whenever you wanted to repeat a set of elements on the screen. Yeah. So that so that you get you you change the way how user is using your screen flow, okay, to add multiple inputs. Okay, multiple inputs directly in the screen. Okay, so the answer to this, or the solution to this problem, is using repeater command. How do we use it? So let's go and then check this out. I'll go back now to the flow. Okay, let's build a new flow. Okay, very quickly. So when you start with creating a flow, of course, I need a screen where I can take inputs from the user around about the inputs from the user, basically the business contact and the decision. And let's go back to this. Yeah. I want to take the role and the business contact, isn't it? So let's go and then check this out. I have a screen now. So I'll just say this is opportunity contact role. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring an option to choose the business contact. Yeah. But before I do it, what I'll do is I'll look for a component with the name repeater. Okay. So it's more like a, a section inside which you can drop the components that you wanted to add. For example, if I just drop in just text, a text component right here, remove this. Somehow it got treated outside. Let's right, yeah. So now when you click on done, it's not. Did I move it? Why is this negative? It's giving me a hard time to place it inside the repeater. Yes, now it's done. Yes, let's test this. Okay, let's simply test this and see what happens, how it goes. Component, I'll just say this is a dummy text box for now. Okay. Anything else? Okay, I think I have to give name to the repeater function. I'll just say input function. Done. Let's save this, and I will call it opportunity role multi. Okay, let's click on save. Let's see how it's going to look like from an end user perspective. Click on run. Right here, you have the text box, isn't it? So let me click on add. As you can just see, it keeps, adding, isn't it? The user can enter all the details right here, and then on click of the next button, you can read this as a collection. All the you don't have to worry about how do you read all such things. Salesforce will do that job for you. Okay, so you can just run a loop, and I'll show you how to do that. But the point is, after the data is collected in this screen, what you can do is the next step, you can just read all the inputs and then perform the DB operation or whatever you wanted to do with this data collected. Okay, yeah. So you can remove as well, and you cannot override this remove. You cannot override this add. Okay, which gets client side even. Okay, it's not going to hit your server and then kick off some other actions. Okay, so that's something you should remember when you build this form, because sometimes people will say that, okay, before I click on add, I wanted to run some validations. No, that's not that's not possible with this particular template. Okay, yeah. So keeping that in mind, we'll go back now. We'll go to the opportunity contact screen. Okay, the very first thing is I'm going to remove this. Okay, I'll bring a probably a lookup component. Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully this time I will place it right here. Yes. Lookup component, I'll call it as business contact. API name cannot have spaces. Yes. And the field API name, probably what I'll do is I'll have the API name, contact ID. And the label, I would like to see the label as business contact. Object API name, I'll just say it's opportunity contact role. Yeah, this is the one. Good. And why did I do this? The reason is if let's go to this object manager once. It's a lookup component, isn't it? So I need to map a field of type lookup, isn't it? So if I go to this opportunity contact role, that's the API name, by the way. Yeah, it's the API name that I had given. I've just instructed the flow that it should go to populate this particular lookup. I've just instructed the flow, hey, go to this object that carries this API name and look for a field that carries contact ID, isn't it? So let's go back here. Let's go to the fields and relationships. and you can just see contact ID, which is of type lookup contact. Yeah. So this is how we typically load data into the lookup field, isn't it? So that's the reason I did map the field API name and the object API, and this is good. And what is the next thing? The next thing is the role, right? Which is nothing but a pick list. So I have a pick list, drag and then drop. Yeah. And I'll name it this as role. Okay. To be mapped basically. Yeah. And what I would like to see is I would like to populate the list of roles. I don't want a hard code. Yeah. So instead, what I'll do is I will create a type. Yes, choice. I'll just say I'm going to create a new choice resource. In this case, I'll just say I wanted to get it from a picklist choice set. Picklist choice set. I'll instruct Salesforce flow. Maybe I'll give a name to this. So opportunity contact roles list. Yeah. I'll just say go to this opportunity contact role. Yeah. Go to this particular object, get into the pick list, right? You will find a lot of pick list. For me, role pick list is needed. So which means whatever values that are available in this role pick list, the role pick list field, that will be mapped to this particular pick list. Isn't it? That's it. So with that, this is dynamic now. Let's click on done. Save and then run it in debug mode. Let's run on this. Good. So now I have a decent screen. Now it gives user an option to add, correct, multiple contacts, and the user can choose a contact from a particular from the lookup, correct, and I can assign the role to the user, business user as Ted, and um, I'll just say Josh as a decision maker, correct? So this gives flexibility to the user to start giving multiple inputs in one go, correct? Instead of doing it one after the other, multiple inputs in one go, isn't it? So that's pretty clear. The next thing is how do we read this data? So right now there are a couple of information entered by the user on the screen. How do I read this data? It's not straightforward for now. Okay, yeah, it's easy, but it's not straightforward. Okay, so if I go back now, what I need to do is I just need to use a loop. Okay, yeah. The idea is to loop through all the inputs entered by the user, because the user might stop at adding two contacts, or might stop at adding four contacts, or might stop at adding six contacts, isn't it? Yeah. So that's a variable. That's a variable thing. So what I'll do is first I'll just say add, loop input repeated input. I'll keep it this way. Yeah. And the collection variable. So in the previous screen, in the screen, right, contact role screen, we had the repeater, right? I'll go right here, go to that repeater, which is the input form, that's the API name. I have few properties available. You can just see this, right? Add items, all items will give you everything. Okay. So whatever the user has entered, maybe what I'll do is yeah, I'll click on this. Okay, so I'll just say all items. That's it. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through each item one after the other, and then say at the end of the day, I wanted to take this data into the database, isn't it? Yeah. I can create a list. I can create a list, and I can just simply load this data into the list, and then run a simple one create elements to get the data added. So which is fairly simple. What I'll do is I'll just say from first to last it needs to look through. Then I'll have an assignment. Okay. And right here I'll just say add rows to list. Is the assignment name. I want to have a collection to basically a bag to collect all the roles that were entered by the user. So I click on new rows. I just say, hey, I want a variable. v underscore of contact role underscore list. Yeah, I want this to be of type record. I'm okay to have multiple records because I need a collection. Yeah, so I'm telling Flow, let's create a collection for me that can hold multiple records of opportunity contact role. That's it. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm going to use it. I'll just say that. Okay, so that's a collection thing. I'll just create one more. Okay, one more variable. Okay, to temporarily hold the opportunity contact roles that were entered by the user temporarily. Okay, I just go with the same one variable v underscore op contact role. I'll just say record. Okay, record underscore temp. Okay, I'll say this is of type record, and no, this time I'm not going to choose this as a collection. The same thing, opportunity contact role. Save it. Yeah. So I'll clear this one. Yeah. Now, where is this one? This is a list. This is a temp. Dot. I'll just say the contact. Yeah, the contact ID of the contact ID should be equal to the one that we are going to collect from the user input. In this case, where is this loop? From the current item being looped, just get the contact ID. That's it, record ID. Plus, I'll just say v underscore op. So this is the variable, right? I also need the role, isn't it? Yeah, role that should be equal to from the item being looped. So it should be equal to the role that the user has selected, right? Then what I'll do is I have a collection, isn't it? Yeah. So that collection. So into that collection, add the temporary record. That's it. So v underscore op underscore. That's it. Yeah. So now what happens is every time doesn't matter the user whether the user is given user is planning to add 2 roles or 4 roles or 6 roles, doesn't matter. Every time when it runs, right? The current item is big, and from the current item we are reading the contact ID, we are reading the role, adding it to a temporary variable, and then assigning the temporary variable data into the collection. So after this loop completes, I have everything that needs to go into the database. I'm trying to bulkify this. That's all I'm doing this, correct? I can just run it. I can just do this inside the loop as well, inserting a record. But I want to do it outside this, right? That's the best practice, isn't it? What I can do is I can just simply say create records, and I'll just say create opportunity contact. Okay. Anyways, I've not included opportunity ID as a condition here. I just wanted to show you. So I'll just say multiple. Yeah. Just like this. What I should have ideally done is I should have also included the opportunity ID so that against a proper opportunity ID, the contact roles gets mapped. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that because the key takeaway is the repeater control. Okay, so with that repeater control, today we can able to add multiple user entries. That's the whole point to remember. Okay, yeah. And the other point is you will get all the items that were added by the user, but to take that item and then perform some operations, use loop. Okay, use loop will be that right option to go with. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, I'll take for another 5 minutes, then we can wrap up this. Okay, I'll take questions and then we can wrap up the session. Okay. So to extend this particular scenario, now we know that multiple input is possible. In some cases, we don't want users to take complete control and then add or remove. Instead, I just wanted to be very, very specific in terms of how many times or how many user inputs, uh, I wanted to limit the maximum number of inputs that the user can give. Let's say I wanted the user to add only 3 contact roles, opportunity contact roles. Okay, how do we do it? Because right now it's a free form, right? User can just simply come here and then click on add, and then do this. Correct? Yeah. But can I restrict this? It is possible. Restrict is possible, but there is one area where you need to focus on. Okay. The first thing is when you click on the repeater, we have an option to let's just go. You have an option to set the visit. You can have an option to. I'll show you. In interest of time, what I'll do is just give me a minute. This is exactly what we're gonna do. It. Okay. Anyways, as a consideration, so all just things that you should remember. This is a max limit 30. Okay, user can go on and then add, but the Salesforce restricts restricts or Salesforce as a threshold of 30 repeated entries that can be included in the repeated content. Okay, yeah. All right. This is the next one, which I was just talking about it. How do we limit this? Something like this? Yeah. So let's say I wanted to give access to the user to, or I wanted to restrict the user to just add only two. Okay. So there is no add button, isn't it? That you can just see, isn't it? Yeah. How do we implement this? Yeah. It is fairly simple. What we'll do is, just of time, I'll show you what is already built. Okay. And take you through within 1 minute. I should be this and right here. Yeah. All right. It's not uh, straightforward. Okay. But with a little workaround, it can be, yeah. How do we do it? Here it is. Okay. See, according to my requirement, I want to restrict the user, to dynamically add multiple contacts, but I want to restrict the user, with a limit of 4, isn't it? Yeah, with a 4. So no more add buttons. Okay. The only, preload the page with 4 repeated controls, repeated sections where user can go and then, add the data. Yeah. How do we do it? So if we go back now, it's the same simple, the screen for all such things as you can just see right here. Okay, repeated control with the first name and last name, and there is no add button, isn't it? Yeah, which you can. Yeah, this go. Here it is. If you uncheck this, can add items, as you can just see. If I just uncheck this, the add button will be gone. Okay, this is how you can control. If you don't want the user to remove, you can also, toggle this. Okay, in our case, I'm going to let user to remove, but I want users not to, add, because I'm going to control the total number of times the form should repeat or the controls should repeat. Yeah. So for that purpose, what you could do is potentially you can create a collection, a dummy collection, as you can just see, list dummy context, right? So what is happening, right? Whenever you start the flow, okay, I wanted to have a couple of variables. One is a collection, okay. This is the API name, and this is the contact collection. Ability to hold multiple contact records, correct? Yeah. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another single record variable contact record. Okay. Yeah. Kind of replicating the same approach that we did in the previous implementation. Yeah. So I have a contact record where the first name is filled with blank, last name is filled with blank again. Okay. Then I'm simply adding that record into the collection. That's it. I'm doing it twice. Okay. So that at the end of this, once you come out of this element, you will just see two empty or two contact records. Let's say I wanted to make or restrict to 4, isn't it? So what I'll do is I'll just say list, dummy contacts, and it's going to be a contact rec, I believe. Yes. Okay. So now I have the collection with 3 empty contact records, right? So I'll make it one more. Dummy contacts a collection, more like a more like a container or a bag into which I'm just loading some empty contact records. That's it. That's it. Cool. So now this carries, 4 empty records. So now let's see what happens in the very next screen. I'm just simply mapping this repeater, isn't it? I have to click on repeater. I'm saying that when you load this repeater on the page, ensure the content is coming or the pre-populate the data, pre-populate the data with the content coming from this particular collection. Okay, so which means the repeater accepts a collection. We're going to make use of that as a workaround. Okay, and then load some dummy or empty records. When you do that, what happens is, let's click on done. I wanted to save this as a new version. Let's click on debug. You can just see there's a 1, 2, 3, and then 4, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, this is how you can able to limit the maximum number of records that you wanted or rows that you wanted to, you wanted to show it to the user. Okay, now you can extend this further. You can able to use repeater to preload the data that's already available in Salesforce and show it right here and make the user to update, the data. Let's say that if you wanted to show the list of projects associated to an opportunity, right? Yeah, and if you wanted to let the user to update the opportunity data in one go, you can do that. See, I just loaded this with dummy contacts, isn't it? With no first name and last name, isn't it? But you can certainly load the values, by retrieving it from the DB. Okay, so multiple ways it can be done. So two things to remember right here: repeater accepts collection, okay, which will be predominantly used for preloading the data. Number one. Number two, if you want to restrict the number of records, okay, go ahead and then go ahead and then start following this. Disable the add button or remove the add button, okay, and then restrict with the number of rows using collection. Okay, so that's pretty much what you can do to restrict plus preload the data. Okay, comes really handy whenever you work in an update scenario. I think with that, a couple of other things very quickly I'll just run through, then we are good to wrap up. So this is another thing. We use flow to send email, right? Something that was missing for a long time is ability to connect an email template in a much better way. Plus, ability to type the content body, the email content, right? Using rich text. Of course, we used to create a text template and then keep all the email body content, but that's not super flexible. But now with this up with the with our okay, I'll just bring this with this new one, new enhancement. What you can do is send email. Yeah. So it's now categorized into 3 different sections. Okay. Yeah. Very clearly calling, okay, this is where you'll go and then update all the recipients. Yeah. So you have an address list, comma separate, you can do it. Collection, you can just add CC, BCC, pretty straightforward. And when it comes to sender, you also have an option to choose argwide email address, all such things using sender type. And this is where I wanted to focus, the email content. You have 2 options. It looks like a visual picker, right, to you? Yeah. 2 options. One is to draft the content right here. Instead of using a text template, everything, you have a what you see, what you get form as in the rich text editor, where you can certainly, thanks for attending the session, all such things. I can simply type this right here. I don't have to go anywhere, use a variable to have a rich text format created. Okay. So thanks for attending the session. All the good things, and I can add images. I can able to have the text enriched, okay, with all these things. Yeah, so that's doable right here. Number 2, if you have a standard template, earlier it was really difficult. Yeah, now with this email template, you can able to simply key in the template. Not only that, you can search for the email template. Yeah, and not only that, this is important. The attachment ID. If you wanted to add, let's say you are sending an email with a list of onboarding process to a new sales user being added to your org. Yeah, you want to attach multiple. You wanted to attach multiple documents. Of course, you can add an attachment collection right here. Okay, just have a collection, with all the attachment IDs. That's it. When an email is sent, okay, it will be sent along with your company email template, right, with the attachments as well. Okay, so these things will come really, really handy if you are relying on sending emails through Flow. Okay, yeah, it's pretty straightforward now. So explore this as well. Finally, Agentforce and Flow. So if you are exploring Agentforce, there are a lot of new additions because um, uh, you know uh, Flow is something where you can define the business logic. Okay. And Salesforce has introduced something called template triggered flow, which will help you to create a flow that can talk to the AA agents, that can supply data to AA agents or AA agents or prompts, etc. Okay. So if you are interested, explore this as well. You will find something called so when you go to the new flow, if you have Agentforce license, of course there is a developer edition available with Agentforce license available for us to play around. Yeah. So you will find something called template triggered prompt flow. So this will help you to build the business logic, everything right inside the flow, and have it used by the AA agents. Okay, something very, very similar to this. Do I have it somewhere? I believe so. Just give me a minute. I'll show you, then we can just wrap up. Do this. Yeah, this is something that, that's an example where I wanted to punch in the customer number and then get a complete summary of what I can present in the quarterly business review. On click of this is a flow. This is a flow screen, okay, that accepts the input. And on click of this, it actually makes a call. It does behind the scenes, uses some model to summarize the data, and you will see it right here. This is completely designed using click and see this, right? Yeah, summary of this entire account, and this it is built behind the scenes. On click of the button, a prompt template gets called. Okay, so this is an um, example of how Agentforce and Flow work together, and instead of writing plenty of code, you can able to easily use Flow and then enrich the experience plus increase the productivity. Okay, so that's going to be the last one. And with that, we have come to the end of our session 2. If you want to stay connected with me or Gopi, feel free to do that. These are our LinkedIn URLs. Okay. Uh, any questions that you have after the session, any assistance needed, certainly they're available to uh, clarify. Yeah. So with that, I will take any questions that you may have.
Seems there are a lot of questions, Rajesh, for you.
I don't know if there is. Okay, is there a recording? No. Okay, I have to go all the way to office, isn't it? Go all the way to the top. Let's see. I don't know exactly where I should start. Um, how do we decide flow? Okay, I think Kamakshi, your question is kind of answered, right, while we were discussing this, right? Yeah. So uh, the case you have to watch out your business use case and the complexity in terms of implementing a business use case. As I said, if you are going to deal with a lot of objects with a lot of branchings and if and else conditions in your flow, right? I wouldn't recommend using flow. Instead, use Apex. Okay, yeah. And there is a rollback, when there is a rollback requirement. Okay, when something goes wrong. Yeah. So those things are pretty much flexible when you use Apex. Okay, but flow, of course, can be extremely helpful when you have when you have some medium complex scenarios, okay, yeah, that you don't want to invest a lot of time into building Apex and then getting it tested, having it having the code coverage met, all such things, right? Yeah. So look up the use case and then analyze a bit. Then you should certainly get an answer. What I'll do is I'll also share, I'll add the link. There is a checklist. Okay. Flow versus Apex. That's from Salesforce, in fact. Okay. I'll include that link as well for you to make a decision which one to go with. Okay. Yeah. Um, because sometimes, if you have a checklist that really helps, isn't it? Right? Data cloud is a great thing, not just orgs, but everything. So that's from Partha. Questions. Okay, I think a lot of folks are helping Kamachis, to gain clarity on flow versus Apex. Isn't it good? Um, okay, is this feature flow from Einstein available? Okay. Oh yeah, that is a development org which you can spin off. Okay, that you can spin off and then get this flow from Einstein tested or checked. Yeah. I'll see if I can able to give you the link as well. Force plus data cloud or I believe I get the link immediately. Yeah, this one, this is the one. Or in fact, you can use TrialEd as well. That is also possible. In TrialEd, if you go and then look for not the typical hands-on orgs, okay, you can in fact spin up an org with Agentforce license already baked in. Just give me a minute, I'll show you. So
Rajesh, as
Raghav, you
far
have
as
a question, right? Okay, while I'm searching, just ask your question as well. Please feel free to do that. I'm just
yeah,
searching for.
sure, Rajesh. Rajesh, it is
I think
possible.
Raghav is still on mute, but I can't hear you, Raghav. Please.
Am I audible now? Hello, hello.
Yes, Raghavendra, you are audible.
Or you
Rajesh,
can
for
type in
example,
your question as well if there is a issue with
yeah, I don't
audio.
have any issues, right?
This is the one. Okay, so what you can do is, Kamachi, right? You can go right here. This is the link I will share. Okay, where you can create a playground with the Agentforce license, everything available for you to play around. Okay, and explore the Einstein for flow features. Okay,
Rajesh, am I audible to you? Hello, hello, am I audible?
right. I think a lot of questions are already answered.
You are
Like, can we compress the
audio.
slides? No, I don't think it's possible now. But wait for some more time, Shiva. You should be having this option enabled by Salesforce. Something new that you will start getting more
Am I audible,
into
guys?
that feature.
Yes, yes, Raghavendran,
Raghav,
please.
you can feel
Rajesh is going
free.
through the
I'll
questions.
certainly check in the
Please,
chat
please wait.
window.
Raghavendra,
Possible.
after the question
Necessary.
completed,
Oh yeah, you can do that certainly. I just used a pick list. You can use multi-choice pick list and then have it selected as well. But at the end of the day, you
When
will
I ask
get
my
all
question, is
the
Rajesh
data
is having
collected,
problem
attributed
hearing me?
the all items property. So then you have to loop through and then get the data. That's it. Okay. So explore that, but this is totally doable. Multiple rows using multi-value pick list. Okay, instead of the pick list that I used, use multi-select pick list. All right. Okay, so any questions that we haven't answered, our apologies. I know we are on the top of the hour. You can connect with us anytime, on the LinkedIn, through LinkedIn. Okay, we are more than happy to answer. And thank you so much, Abhishek, for sharing this link. Yes, this is the link I was just talking about with Agentforce and Data Cloud. Yeah, this is going to be really, really helpful for others as well. All right. So I'm at the top of the hour. I will let John to speak. Looks like he has some vouchers for us. So I let John to take control and then walk us through how he is planning to give away the vouchers.